3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of our question and answer video where we take your comments and answer them, not live for you, but live for us.
We take your comments on the road.
Yes. So we have our special dash cam footage here today. But so let's get right into it. So first comment comes from Joel Forever. And Joel says,
What's Joel Forever want to ask or comment?
They say, I still don't understand how these prices are not plummeting. 2.8% of available condos sell weekly, yet prices not going down. It's a lottery to find a buyer today.
Lots of people are wondering exactly what you're wondering, Joel. And there's lots of reasons why prices haven't come down. And I think it's a combination of a whole bunch of stuff, but sellers are not quick to just let it go. Many of them, especially if they closed recently, they're not so quick to just let it go and lose thousands of dollars. And this is the resiliency of Canadians. They're just not gonna let it go, and they will fight tooth and nail and hold out. Some have taken a beating, some of the sellers, but the majority are holding on and sticking to their price. And that's, it's almost like there's a stalemate in the market right now where buyers not willing to pay, sellers not willing to drop, the odd few now and then, but that's the market. We're not sure which way it's going to go, but I don't think there's enough pain in the market yet for sellers to consider just dumping and dropping their prices yet.
Well, I think that also, we're talking about how prices are not plummeting. We're also not seeing sales really increase that much. And so
that
plays a part in it too.
Yeah,
right?
But that would lend more towards, if fewer sales would mean prices would need to come down more.
Yeah.
It's just not happening.
Yeah. Okay, so next comment comes from Mike's Google account. And Mike's Google account says, are lowball offers successful? What if the purchasers criticize the property, pointing out issues to substantiate a lower price? On average, do sellers lower or resolve to remain firm on price?
These are all individual situations. You could do 10 lowball offers and one maybe goes through. You could do, it all depends on reading the situation. Your realtor really has to get a handle on reading the situation, trying to understand what makes sense. I often find that criticizing the other side, whether it's criticizing the property, and, it's not necessarily a good strategy. I often find, just bad mouthing the other property and think the sellers are just going to agree with you. What you do is kind of upset them, and that's not the way to get a seller to see it your way, in my opinion.
Even on when we're on the selling side for a lot of our listings, right? A common thing we do is speak to all the agents that come through and ask for feedback. And when we do have someone that, is kind of interested in, let's say, wants to put in an offer, but they start talking about, criticizing the property, we relay the message, maybe not verbatim to the seller, but we relay the message. And a lot of times in the seller's case, they're just thinking, okay, then that's just not the right buyer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what I'll often think.
Yeah.
There's coming up with legitimate negatives or deficiency in a property.
Yeah.
But criticizing just has such a negative connotation.
Yeah.
Like if you just start bad mouthing the property and, I want to buy it. It sucks, but I want to buy it. It kind of doesn't work so good for you.
But you know what? There's
your
a lot
property sucks. Here's an offer.
There's a lot of people that try that though. And it's an interesting technique. But okay. So next comment comes from Carolina Petroska. And Carolina, I noticed her quite a few times in the comment section. So thank you for your support on these videos, Carolina. But she says, with regards to our previous Sunday video, where we did it at our listing at 35 Mariner Terrace, unit 3910, where we had the nice view of the airport.
Yeah, and the lake.
Yeah, so she says, the view is gorgeous, but I'm not sure if those planes landing are a plus or a minus. You know, it's funny. So some of the comments on that video were people saying, "Oh, what are you going to do? Sit in front of your window and stare at the view?"
Actually,
so this particular condo, the seller, they set it up exactly for that purpose. And the little Easter egg that they have at the property there is the window ledges of the condo. On the regular windows they're kind of like I'm not curved, but they have a lot of edges. And so what they did is they manufactured a piece of metal that sits on top of the ledge, so it's flat. And so what they do is they have the two seats that you saw us sitting in, and they have a perfect rest to put their glass of wine or whatever it is that they're drinking there. So yes, a lot of people do, with a view like that, tend to just sit at the window and watch the planes come in. And with regards to this comment, the planes that are all coming in they're small planes.
They're small planes.
You're not landing the
if it, God forbid it hits a building, it's still not gonna be a happy situation. But they're far enough away.
It's a building. Where is that coming from? No, it's I don't know.
Far enough away. I mean, there's buildings all along the lake shore.
I thought she was talking about noise. I didn't think she was talking about planes being too close in a building.
Yeah, no, there's no noise situation.
Yeah,
no. Sorry.
No. I don't know where you were taking that.
Talk about misreading, misreading the point of that question.
No, so I would say it's a plus because you can't hear the plane. But yeah, it's far enough away where you can still see it and enjoy it without having to hear it or be scared of the wing.
It's a lot nicer than looking at a highway.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, actually, with the highway, you get to see how traffic's doing before you leave.
I guess
I've seen that as a plus.
Thanks for really making me get this question wrong from beginning to end. Thanks for pointing that out.
We'll just skip to the next one for you. Okay, so Irina G 3994 says, who decides what market value is? So I think we get this comment a lot because we'll talk about, let's say, the statement that we always get is, the offer you have, that's market value because that's what someone's willing to pay for it. But oftentimes,
but that's not what market value.
I know, but that's the comment that we get often. It's like, that's what someone's willing to pay for.
Whatever the buyer's willing to pay is market value. It's only half the equation.
So
sorry, I cut you off. Can I still?
Yeah. So I was just waiting for you because I just want to add that in because I know a lot of people say like, if you have your house is $1 million and you have an offer for $500,000, that should be market value because that's what someone was willing to pay. But take it away.
Thank you. So the definition of market value, and I'm going to define it the way I remember it, not necessarily word for word what you would read in a dictionary, but it's what a willing buyer and a willing seller, you need both components, is willing to offer and accept without undue pressure. That's market value. Now, there's different interpretations of market value. When I look at a property and try to come up with a price, like if one of our buyer clients will say, Santo, we like this house. What do you think we can get it for? What do you think it's going to sell for? I've got to do my own analysis of, based on current market conditions, based on what's sold, what's for sale, how many showings they have based on how long it's been on the market. All sorts of factors come into play for me to estimate what I think it's going to sell for. And I do the same thing when somebody calls me over and says, I'm thinking of selling. What do you think my house is going to sell for? So I need to somehow interpret what a current market value is right now. Now, we get a lot of comments where people say market value, no, homes are way overpriced right now. That's your opinion. But if they're selling at that price, that's the current market value. It may be a different value next week. If homes sell for much less, then it's a different market value. And if they sell for more, it's a fluid situation, market value. It's whatever's happening right now, what a buyer is willing to pay and what a seller is willing to accept. That's market value.
Okay. So next question here comes from Julie S3490. And Julie says, if you want to buy first, why not conditional on sale of home?
There's a bit of a safety net if you're buying and one of the conditions is I'll buy conditional on me, the buyer, selling my home. No question. Gives you a bit of safety net. The tricky part is trying to get a seller in this market, in the GTA, accepting that kind of offer. Most sellers won't. It has to be a really, really difficult property to sell. It has to be sitting on the market for a long time. The seller would have tried all sorts of things, usually before they accept that kind of an offer. Or you're going to entice the seller to accept it by paying more than somebody else, where the seller's willing to take a chance.
Yeah.
So it's very rare that we see that kind of offer in the GTA.
Yeah. Okay. So next comment comes from Lanad5243. And this is with regards to the video where we talked about people that that got a little too creative with their financing.
Yeah. Lots of people took exception to me calling it creative financing.
Yeah. So this is with regards to that.
They were all over me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Comments. That's, but anyways, Lanad5243 says, at TD, their agent said I had to pay $2,000 extra cash to get a mortgage. Told him to get lost, we'll say. Corruption in the banks.
They had to pay an extra, like
an extra $2,000 cash to get a mortgage. Now, I'm really curious. I'm really curious because, I mean, we know that on the broker level, they have their networks of people responsible to get, these fraudulent mortgages through, right?
Yeah, but even if you do it, even if you do it like a B lender legitimately.
Yeah.
B lender, C lender legitimately. Yeah. So it's not fraud. You're going to pay a fee.
Yeah.
So, and those fees, $2,000 would almost be a bargain compared to what other fees, what those fees actually are. But it's not something we hear.
Well, this is what I'm saying. So because we know that there are mortgage brokers that have, worked in creating fraudulent mortgages. And a lot of times they work with, I'm trying to...
You're struggling to say.
So a lot of times they have worked with people at the bank in order to push through these fraudulent mortgages.
Yeah, they can't do it alone.
And so...
It's in conjunction.
And I imagine that, if you know the people that are working at the bank, if you know the underwriters, if you know the people involved in the process, you can get that done with some extra cash. But I wonder if that was the case, if this was a case of a mortgage broker sending it to TD and then saying, hey, you need $2,000 extra to get this pushed through properly. Or not properly, but
there's not enough
properly.
Or not enough context or information in the question.
I know, but or was this a situation where the person went directly to the bank and that person said, hey, you need to give us an extra $2,000 because that would be
special VIP treatment. Come to this room.
Yeah,
pay $2,000.
We'll work on all the paperwork here, but I'll meet you at the coffee shop.
What paperwork?
The coffee shop beside us.
We'll get you your mortgage.
Okay.
Why stop at $1 million?
So, Lanad, if you wouldn't mind, let us know if this was you going directly to the bank or are you going through the mortgage broker where they said you need to pay an extra $2,000, because I'd be curious to know what the answer is to that. So, next comment here comes from ALS1035. And ALS says, I understand what you are saying, and for most people, this is good advice. I have been on both of those situations, and I was not happy to move into a rental house because my house sold quickly. I have also bought 2 houses prior to selling because I was looking for something special in a preferred neighborhood. I think if you have your bank prepared with a bridge loan and your agent with an expected selling price, things will work out as it did for my current home. If you sell first, you are at risk of buying something that you have to settle on.
There's no, thank you for your comment.
Mhm.
And you bring up a few interesting points there. Let me say, there's no way of doing it that's without risk.
Mm.
And yes, if you sell first, then you risk not finding a home before the home you sold closes, and you may have to rent for a little while till you find the right price. But doing it the other way for many people is even more risky, where you buy and then you have a difficult time selling. But because you bought, you have to close on that. Now, if you're able to figure it out with bridge financing, well, your home needs to be sold for that to happen. You're totally right when you say you have to have your numbers lined up. I would be even conservative in the math when you do that. There's ways around it. There's ways of doing it. And your realtor really needs to look at your situations. There's some clients I work with. That's what we do. We buy first and we sell after, and it all works out. And there's others, because of the financial situation they're in. And I'm not saying they're in a bad situation. It's just so much of their equities tied into the home they're selling, and just the market and what they need out of their home to be able to do the next purchase. We look at it differently. So every situation needs its own analysis, but selling first and then buying, it's not perfect, but it is the lesser evil of doing it the other way.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen cases on both ends, and we've just the idea that you'd be inconvenient if you did sell first, and let's say we've been in situations where clients have stayed in a hotel for a certain amount of time just to kind of figure out what's going to happen, or
Yeah, but
they had
it's
to
been
rent something,
planned.
or they moved back with parents, whatever the case is. But the whole point of what we were trying to say there is, it's better that they have the money in the bank and inconvenience, as opposed to having the stress of, hey, I need to get this sold no matter what. Because we've seen that case as well. We've seen the case where someone's selling, and then that happened one time. Do you remember there was a deal, and it was, I believe, 2022.
I don't know
And it was, I think it was mid 2022. And it was kind of when things just started to turn. And, well, the person that we were buying from, they were in a situation where they had their hard number of what they could have sold for.
Right.
And what we were going to buy it for was too low for them.
Right.
And it caused a lot of stress on that end for them.
Yeah.
And,
Right. I remember that.
yeah.
And because the market had turned.
And it turned within like a matter of a couple of weeks.
The market turned, so we weren't prepared to offer where the market used to be. We were offering where the market was now, obviously. And the seller was in a bad situation because they had bought and now we're selling, and they couldn't get their price anymore.
Yeah. And then they had to try and bridge that gap, and it was a bit stressful on that end. So, I'm, of course, if you're looking for something specific, you want to be able to take your time. You want to be able to have the pressure, or have no pressure, but the ability to have that money in the bank, knowing that, okay, the sale is closed and I don't have to worry about that, is a lot better feeling than feeling like, okay, I got to let this go. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So next comment here comes from Condo 234, and Condo says, Hello, Santo. Sorry. Please make a video on pros and cons of freehold versus condo townhouses. Thanks. Is that something we can do? Maybe we'll do something like that this week.
You want me to talk about that? Sure. We'll do a show on that.
Yeah, more not. Okay. So this next comment, I picked it. It's someone we already read their comment today, but it was an interesting comment. So Lanad5243, when we were talking about not having to disclose stigmas of properties, they asked, how about ghosts?
How about them?
How about them? Does that need to be disclosed?
No,
Does not need to be disclosed.
it does not.
Really?
Are you surprised about that?
No, I'm not surprised. It just reminds me of the story you always used to tell. Or
I was a kid.
When you were a kid, and the ghosts in the third floor of the Winchester home.
How do you prove there's a ghost? And it bothers some people. It doesn't others. What if you don't even believe in ghosts? What if the seller doesn't believe in ghosts? And you're saying, hey, are there ghosts? And the seller's attitude is ghosts. What's that? So there's no such thing. Like anything that would be considered a stigma does not need to be disclosed.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you're on the buyer side,
no, keep it going.
If you're on the buyer side and something like that is really important to you, you need to protect yourself from the buyer side and ask those questions in the offer formally. And the seller is not supposed to lie. And if they do, you have it in writing that they lied, and you got some recourse there.
Trying to go through all the offers that I've read, whether we're on the buy or sell side. I don't think I've ever seen one that says ghosts.
No, I've never
think
seen
of any?
one.
No? Okay. Well, next comment here comes from Emmy4500. And Emmy says, if I'm downsizing, is it a good time to do so now?
Usually when the market is becoming softer, usually that lends towards more favorably somebody upsizing. Usually, just because the more expensive properties usually take a bigger hit price-wise. So if you're moving up, say, from I'm just going to say a $1 million home to a $2 million home, just for sake of argument, I'm picking numbers. Your $1 million home maybe dropped in value, say by $50,000, $100,000. That $2 million home probably dropped in value $200,000, $250,000. So people moving up tend to be in a better situation in this type of market. But the real question is, why are you downsizing? Is the home you're in just way too big for you to upkeep, to take care of, to afford? It might be the right time for you personally to downsize, regardless of what the market is doing. This is where you need a individual consultation to really figure out what makes sense for you. Because in every market, there are people upsizing, there are people downsizing. It depends on your own personal situation.
Yeah. Okay, and last comment here. I end every question and answer video with a nice comment. So G King says, I like you guys. You are funny. Dad knows his stuff well, and he talks very nice.
Oh, we got to pay this guy.
Yeah.
Thank you, G King. Thank you very much for that.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for all your support on these videos. You know, we have such a blast filming this stuff. And it's just so awesome to know that people enjoy watching it. So thank you so much. Leave your comments in this video. Leave your comments in the video throughout the week. And yeah, you might see it in this video. So thanks for that. And we'll talk to you soon.
Have a great weekend, folks. Thank you.